Welcome back guys to the Numpy part 2 tutorial. So in this tutorial I will be going to talk about slicing and boolean mask arrays. So if you have never heard about Numpy before, then it is the numerical computing library in Python. You will need it in machine learning and data science careers. So this is actually a second part of my Numpy tutorial series. So if you have not watched my first part, then I highly recommend you to go and check that out. So I'll put the link to that video in the description below. So I will also put the link to this part 1 and part 2 notebooks in the GitHub in the description below, so you don't need to worry about it. So just keep watching and just try to understand what I'm going to say in this while running those statements in Python, so you don't need to worry about it. So in the first tutorial, I talked about how to create NumPy array from Python's data structures and using some of the Python's and NumPy's built-in functions to create NumPy arrays. So in this video, I want to start talking about slicing. So if you don't know what slicing means, then slicing means accessing a fragment of the whole array. That means you have a bigger array and you want to access some part of the array, so some part or fragment of the array. So let's get started from one-dimensional arrays. So here the first thing you need to do is import numpy and alias it or namespace it as np. So the advantage of namespacing or aliasing numpy as np is you get the advantage of writing np every time you want to call this library, so you don't need to type numpy every time. So the next thing I want to do is first let me execute this cell using shift plus enter here. So the next thing I want to do is create a variable called our vector. So this is a variable that basically contains a numpy array. So here is the Python's list, and I have used the numpy's array method to convert this Python list into numpy array. So let's execute this. So this cell has been executed. To show the output, let me just type out the variable and execute this cell. You can see now this list has been converted into the numpy array. So the next thing I want to do is access the first element. So the numpy array index starts from 0 and ends with the final element -1. So the first element to access, you need to start from 0. So numpy basically starts from 0 indexing arrays. So if you want to change the first item, then you can simply assign it to the next new value you want to assign. So shift plus enter. So let's output and see if that has changed or not. So you can see here the first element has changed to -50. So the next thing I want to show you is negative indexing. So some beginner programmers are easily confused by this negative index. So let me see this. The last element is -1 and -2, -3, -4, and it goes on like this. So there is, when you start from the back side or the right side, then there is nothing like 0 or -0. So you basically need to start from -1. So let's execute this cell and see what happens. So the third element -1, -2, -3 is 3. So you can see that. So look at here. Here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements in this array. So if you want to access the sum of the elements that are out of the range, so 85, here is no 85. So to solve that problem, you can just simply find the remainder by using the modulus operator and using the size of that array. So our vector.size gives the size of this array, so and modulus gives the remainder, and this must give the output. So this is how you deal with the index that are out of the range. So you can see this. You can, for example, you cannot do like this 135 and find the value. So to solve this problem, you can just find the modulus and remainder and to access the index. So let's get started to the two-dimensional array. So I have created the arrange function to create a numpy array that has 40 elements, and among these 40 elements, the first element starts from 0 and the last element is 39. Okay, so I have saved this array or converted this linear numpy array into the 8 rows and 5 columns. So let me just execute this and see what the output looks like. So as you can see here, it has 8 rows and 5 columns here. So this is shape. The beginner programmer really confused on two methods here, shape and reshape. Let me show what they look like. So okay, I want to here Python 3, so import numpy as np. So I have imported. So let's create array. Okay, so let's say this is our array. Let's create an element of, okay, like 24. Okay, it's okay to 24. So array dot shape equals to, I want to, 24 means 8 into 3, 8 row into 3 columns. I want to divide this like this. Okay, so shift plus execute. If you output this, then you can see here 8 rows and 3 columns. So I am going to use the reshape method now. Okay, so array dot reshape and pass the parameters. So this time I want to create 3 rows and 8 columns. Shift plus execute. So you can see here the shape and reshape method did the same thing. So the next thing I want to do is print out the array. So as you have seen that if you use the shape method, then it basically changes the variable itself. Okay, so but if you use the reshape variable, the original variable has not changed yet. See, you can see this, the array still has the previous this numpy array, and it does not add the new one we created using the reshape. So the reshape basically does not save the output, but the shape method saves the output in the original array. Okay, that is the difference between shape and reshape. So you can see here my Jupyter server is running here. So this is how it works. So if you want to access the second row in this two-dimensional array, then all you need to do is pass this 2 value here in this square brackets. So if you execute this second row, 0 1 2, okay, you need to also remember the one thing, that it always is start from 0, and 0 1 2 means this value, this row. Okay, if you start from negative, you can see here -1 -2. Okay, so this row has been printed out. So if you want to access a specific element, okay, fifth row second column, 0 1 2 3 4 5, fifth row, 0 1 2 27. So it must output 27, you can see here. So in real life data science and machine learning project, you will predetermine the value of row and columns and just pass the row and columns value here. So second row third column, it gives 17 output, you can see here. Third row 0 1 2 3, third row 0 1 2 17. So 17. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is, you can also access the element using these two square brackets and passing the row and column here. This also works the same way. So third row third column must be 18 here. So this works that way. So let's get started into three-dimensional array. So I have created a 3D array variable, and this method basically creates a numpy array that has 24 elements. So I have saved it into 4 group of matrices, each of 2 row and 3 columns. Okay, so if you output this, you can see here 4 group of matrices, 1 2 3 4, and each of 2 row 3 columns, 0 3 column. That's fine. So if you want to access the first group of matrix here, you can see, just press shift and execute the first group here. If you want to execute the first group and first row, then this is the way how you do it. First group 0 1 first group, and 0 1 first 9 here, you can see here. So if you want to access the particular element of this array, so second group of matrices 0 1, the second group of matrices, and 0 1 2, and you can see here first group of matrices 0 and 1, and 2 means 0 1 0 1 2, so it must output 17. I guess you can see here 17. This means second group matrix is first row second column. So if you want to change the variable value of that variable, you can also simply do that, and if you output it, so 17 must have changed the value to 10t. So this is how it works. So let's get started with the boolean mask array. So here I have created a new numpy variable here. So this basically contains some numbers here. So a dot array method here converts the Python's list into numpy array. So let's execute this. So we have not output yet, so it does not output the value. If you want to see just output, you can just put this variable and press execute this cell. So the next thing I want to do is create or put true or false instead of these values for all those values less than 20. So first look at this statement here. So here is 0 equals to age vector is less than 20, so 15 is less than 20, that means true, right? So true, this 0 means false. False equals to true, that means false, right? So let's execute this cell. So false here. So 12 is less than 20, that is true, and false equals to true means false. So 34 here, 34 is less than 20, that is false, and false equal to false means true, right? So as it goes like this. So the data type, as you can see here, is boolean. So we have changed these numbers or integers data type into the boolean data type. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is print those only values that are whose age are greater than 20. Okay, so you can do this by passing this boolean array parameter into our original vector. Okay, so age vector. So if you output this has age lower this new variable here, so you can only get those values that are greater than 20. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here is here I have created the numbers array variable and passed the Python's list here and converted it into the numpy array. So let's execute this cell. So I have created another variable called positive test here. So numbers array is less than 0, then it must output the value boolean value. So numbers array minus 22 is less than 0, that means true, right? So minus 22 is less than 0, and false equals to true means false, right? So if you just execute this and output this also works the same way like before. So if you want to just output the positive value here, you can simply pass this boolean numpy array. So if you execute this, you will only get those values that are positive. Okay, so now I want to show the application where you can use boolean mask array. Okay, so I have created a list of numbers here and converted into the numpy array and stored this into the all numbers variable. So I have created another numpy variable is negative, and this statement is just going to put the true statement if the numbers is less than 0. Okay, so if you output this, you can see here all numbers. So that means this cell has not yet been executed. So let's execute this again. So you can see here numbers less than 0 are here false, and numbers less than or greater than or equals to 0 are true here. So here 1, these are all true here, you can see. So the next thing I want to do is the number you output this is greater than, then you can see here true here. So look at here, the minus 10 is greater than 10, it has output true because we have 0 in here. So if you want to put 1 there, then it returns true. Okay, so it returns false. Okay, so you need to take care of that, either to put 0 or 1 in it. So don't worry about it, it will just work fine if you are just consistent here. So if you use 0 in all those operations in your course, and then it will just work fine, and if you just work somewhere 1 and somewhere 0, then it can create some problem here. So the next thing I want to do is remove the numbers that are greater than 10 and less than 0. So what I did is negative test here. So logical and here, so I created logical and of these two. Okay, negative and this greater than 10. So if you output this, then it creates another array, numpy array, that contains the result. So if you are supposed to pass this into our original numpy array, then this will just print the value that we desire. So here we have only seen the output that are just numbers less than 10 and that are just positive. So thank you for watching guys. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you find this tutorial helpful. So I'll be producing more and more numpy and python tutorials for you that are useful for data science machine learning purpose. So don't forget to subscribe and just keep watching guys.